I have Dave Thompson with me. He's a senior mortgage specialist for RBC. Dave's worked with a bunch of my clients to help them with their mortgages, to help buy and sell homes. So basically, I wanted to bring him on to talk about what's happening in the market, to see what he thinks of the rate situation and what he thinks the outlook for the Toronto real estate market will be in the next 3 to 4 months, as well as in the long term. So Dave, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself quickly, let the people know about you as well.
Yeah, right on, Alex. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so my name's Dave here. I work for RBC. Done this for 15 years, so I've seen a couple, cycles in the economy, both ups and downs. And obviously, we're coming out of a nice 10-year stretch there with some really low rates. But I remember when I bought my first house in 2008, I had to choose between like a 6% fixed and a 5.5% variable. So we're kind of back to where we were, 15 years ago, which is a lot of sticker shock for people, but also a nice chatting point for clients looking for opportunities because there's definitely some opportunities out there right now.
For sure. So the Bank of Canada kept its policy rate at 5%. That happened last week. I'm sure everybody who's watching this has heard about this by now. But like, what are your thoughts on that? Why did they keep it? There was a lot of speculation about them raising the rate, 0.25%, whatever, even 0.5%. I've heard from a lot of people, but what was their thinking there? Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pretend that I'm them or at their level, but just kind of maybe like a high level piece that I've talked to my clients about is, rates have risen a lot and they've risen twice unexpectedly this summer because of bad economic data. And so one of the things is that like bad data is actually good data for the economy, but they're trying to slow things down, right? They're trying to stop people from spending so much, get prices under control, and control that magic word of inflation. And so some data came out in the spring when rates were quite low relative to last year, and it suggested that prices were starting to accelerate again. And so the Bank of Canada raised rates twice, and over the summer and into August, we were hearing rumblings of another rate increase. But at the same time, when they raise rates, it takes a while for the effects of those things to take hold and take grip in the economy. And so they paused on that. Some people will say it's a good thing. Some people will say it's a bad thing. Time will tell on that front. We've seen a lot of sticker shock over the last like 16 months on the rate side of things. And so, I think in the next 2, 3 months, the data will tell us whether they should have risen rates again another quarter point or whether they made the right move and held steady. Ultimately, the less people spend, the less price pressures there are out there, and the better chance we kind of work our way through this cycle that we're in right now, where we're in a restrictive territory. People are feeling the pinch, and every month that goes by, a certain percentage of the market, will say it's 2%, are up for renewal on their mortgages, and now they're subjected to today's rates. And so that takes a long time. If 20% of the market renews every year, we've only been in this cycle for 12 to 18 months. So maybe like 1 in 3 Canadians are now in these higher levels, and 2 of 3 aren't. And so we'll see what happens on that. But that's kind of some of the reading and logic as to what they did and why they may have did that from a high level.
So speaking of the whole situation, first of all, I'm seeing a lot of people who purchased in 2020 and 2021, so like such as myself, for example. I purchased a secondary property about a year and a half ago, and my mortgage has gone up significantly because I went with a variable rate. So what I'm seeing from the ground level, from the real estate side, is that some of these people won't be able to keep the property that they bought and might have to even potentially take a loss on it if they do sell it. So it's tough to tell right now because usually the market is really, really slow in the summer. So we don't really know what's happening in the Toronto real estate market in whatever, July and August, because everyone's away. Nobody's really doing many transactions, as I'm sure you've seen. But come, around the fall time, September, October, November, it's when it starts picking up. People start putting their listings on the market. It's tough to tell what's going to happen right now, but I'm seeing it a bit slow. Like it's a bit slow out there. What are you seeing from your end for the fall market? And kind of, if you could say what your prediction is, obviously nothing serious, but what you think is going to happen within the next few months. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of think we're a little bit on the leading side of indicating, and we're seeing a slowing in pre-approvals for sure. Our past clients that were pre-approved in the spring, normally they would have bought, and less have bought than we expected. A little bit of that is sticker shock with interest rates. So you're seeing a little bit of a softening, not as many transactions. Not many people want to grab a falling knife or what they think is a falling knife on the price side of things. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it's very similar to last year. October, November last year was pretty quiet. There was some really good buying opportunities. It's amazing how it can switch in a matter of like a couple of weeks, that market from a no multiple offers to some good news, boom, everyone jumps back in. So right now we think it's going to be a softer fall just because of interest rates, and our hope is that if we can kind of work our way through this, we see rates fall a little bit, demand will pick up. But you never can time the market. Like you don't buy real estate based on like today's a cheap day, I'm going to jump in. Like you're going to hold a property for 3, 4, 5 years, hopefully, or longer, and so it's always a good time to buy. Some are just a little better than others. So the people that bought February, March 2022, probably not so happy. The people that
Yes,
bought last fall,
absolutely.
they're thrilled because people that bought last fall, they saw a 7% pop just in the springtime alone this year on property value. And so, if you want to get into real estate, I'd rather buy at a lower price point than at a lower interest rate. One, I'm not in competition the way I would be if the market was hot with 10, 12 offers on a place. Maybe you can negotiate on that and work on a deal. And two is an interest rate is a moment in time. So rates are high right now, yes, but there's nothing saying that rates might not be lower in 1 or 2 years' time. So I'd way rather buy a property for 100 grand less than what I would have paid for it this spring. And sure, I might pay $30,000-$40,000 more in interest over the next 3 years, but my delta on that is I'm still $60,000 ahead. So that's how we kind of look at it. Not everyone agrees or sees it the same way, but definitely going to be some opportunities, I think, to your point on just the pinch that people feel in the variable side of things. A lot of clients went variable at 1.5, 1.6%. Now they're in 6.5, maybe even close to 7. And that's real. That hurts. And so, maybe those second homes get sold or investment properties get liquidated. And if I was a buyer, I'd be pretty, keen on checking some stuff up here over the next couple months if we do continue to see a price softening. Because I'm not sure, did you hear about the immigration things in Canada on your end?
Of course.
Like some of that data?
Yeah. The data for immigration is crazy. But before we touch on that, I just want to throw a couple of numbers at you and see what you think of this, because I think the market that's going to be affected the most is the condo market. I think the 1-bedroom, 1+ den condo market will get hammered within the next, I would say, 3 to 6 months, because so literally I was just doing research in CO1, CO2. So like it's a lot of the downtown core. It's just a little bit further up, and C0, C08. So there are roughly like 750 active 1-bedroom or 1+ den listings. And a lot of them have been on the market for multiple weeks. And then almost every single day, there are about 50 to 60 changes in status within those neighborhoods. Meaning, like when you have a change of status, so it's either a termination of a listing, an expiration of a listing, or a price drop. So it's a price reduction. Of course, there are some sold conditionally as well. But I'm just seeing this condo market, like there is so much inventory and the prices haven't really reflected that, because a lot of them are just sitting on the market. They're not selling. So we don't have any data for the sold prices of these condos, but I think the condo market's about to take a pretty bad turn. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, and also I wanted to ask you, like, when you're pre-approving people, for example, if somebody say a year ago, 2 years before everything started with the interest rates, if they, for example, qualified for say 560, for 560, what are those people looking at buying? If you could just break it down very simply for us, that would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. Condos are one of those things. I might take a little different stance. There's going to be a softening across the board for sure, just because of the price point of those 1-bedrooms. Like at 600,000, you've still got people with dual incomes that can afford it, or single incomes. But you see it, like the numbers don't lie. If we're sitting on the market longer, if we're getting price adjustments, if it's 50 price adjustments a day kind of coming in, that's 5% of the listings are getting adjusted just in that one little pocket. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, if rates are this high, something's got to give, and it's either price or interest rate. And I don't think rates are changing, so price is probably coming down on that front.
Mhm.
So that's number one. Number two is like affordability. That's the kicker. Right now, you qualify for about 25% less to 30% less than you did, 14 to 16 months ago. And on that front, like if you're a $500,000 mortgage before, so a 650 purchase, 150 down to be at 500, today you're a 400,000 qualification,
Mhm.
and even a little less potentially. And so your 650 purchase is now 550, just from a carrying cost perspective on that. So, it hurts. It's difficult to see single income individuals making 100 grand, which is good money, being
Mhm.
told, hey, you can get a 420 mortgage when previously you were going to get, well over five, from a borrowing perspective. So yeah, it's the squeeze is on, that's for sure, on carrying costs and affordability.
So Dave, so let me, man, honestly, I love talking about this because we're coming from very similar perspectives, but because you're on the mortgage side, like you see, obviously you see what's happening on the back end as well. But okay, so here's my, I'll tell you what my prediction is
Hit me
kind of.
with it.
So basically, I think so look, so I just literally looked it up right now. So C01 and C02, that's considered the Annex, Bay Street Corridor, Casa Loma, Dufferin Grove, Kensington, Chinatown, Little Portugal, Niagara, Palmerston, Little Italy, the islands, Trinity Bellwoods, University, waterfront communities, Witchwood, and Yonge and St. Clair. Sorry, that was annoying. But so those are the neighborhoods. In those
Toronto.
neighborhoods, right now, one bedroom units, there are 729 active listings in those neighborhoods for one bedroom units, and most of them 14 days plus. Here's the thing. I think if people are qualifying for so much less, like you just said, if they were 560 before, now it's 400, what's going to happen? In my opinion, like I feel like the math can't lie about this. What'll happen is a lot of those people who purchased that need to sell, that are on the market right now and they don't sell, will have to take a huge loss potentially if they do end up selling, because the condo market has to come down if there's that much inventory. And then a lot of the people that won't be able to sell will have to just try to rent it out to somebody. And I think the rental rates, I'm sure you've seen the rental rates have been going insane right now. But I'm sure
Yeah.
that if people don't sell these units or don't take a loss at them, they're going to have to put them back in the market to rent them. So I think the rental rates are going to come down pretty drastically in those neighborhoods as well. So I don't, you're right.
Yeah.
The market changes so often and like so quickly that it's really tough it's really tough to predict anything. But if you literally look at these numbers, like 729 active one bedroom condo listings in those neighborhoods, like it's a lot.
Let
And
me
none of
ask
them,
let me ask you a question in your world. When was the last
yeah.
time you had an investment property, a client buying an investment, not an actual primary residence? Because that market for
Uh,
me is completely gone. I used to do one third of my business was investment property purchases.
mhm.
The numbers don't make sense today on it. Like, are you
No,
dealing with any investment property buyers? And like, that was the
not in
sweet spot,
Toronto. Not in
right?
Toronto. People like properties don't cash flow in Toronto, obviously.
Exactly.
Like literally, you're not gonna be able to find a duplex or multiplex unit, or actually, I have a good point to that. But you're not gonna be able to find a duplex, multiplex, or even like a property that has a basement apartment, for example, that's at a low price point. That's gonna cash flow. It's just not. So
Right.
you're gonna be down like depending on what the price point is, you're gonna be paying extra. But here's the other thing that I was gonna say. Depending on what happens with these lease numbers, if the prices of these condos come down, it's funny that the asset class that might potentially have an opportunity to cash flow at some point within the next like 3 to 6 months, if what I'm saying is correct, is the condo market. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
if the condos come down another, like, I don't know, 10%, 20%, and you're putting down a decent enough down payment, decent maintenance fees, you're coming pretty close to cash flowing on a property if the rental rates don't come down as much as I think they will. So again, I don't know. That's a double-edged sword, but like, yeah, I'm seeing almost no
Right.
investor activity based on just not being able to cash flow,
But
you
you're
know?
like, think of it this way: you're a first-time home buyer. You're living at home, saving money, whatever. And the market keeps softening a bit. To your point, we get 5%, 10% off a condo. Man, do you not jump in and just rent the place
Mhm.
and keep doing what you're doing? But you just got in for a much cheaper number than you would have 18 months ago. But 18 months ago, you would have felt so good because everyone wanted that unit at 15% more than you're paying. Like, that's the whole opportunity piece, right? Is just seeing that, people don't buy stocks when they've gotten beat up in the market. They wait for them to rise. And everyone jumps in. Like buying on the way down is a great opportunity for you out there on
No,
that. So it'd be interesting.
I definitely think that as well. And like what I'm the other thing is I'm seeing that not a lot of people are like our unemployment rate is still low. Like it's not like people are losing their jobs left, right, and center. So I think if that was to go up, if that was to go up, it would be a different story. But I'm just not seeing anybody losing their jobs. So I'm like, so
Not yet.
I don't know what do you think of that? Let me know what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, job loss has to go up. That's just a common thing that happens when rates go to this level. It just takes a lot of time. It takes businesses to go under. It takes people to be drowning a little bit because like businesses can't spend money if you're a business that's very borderline cash flow right now, and your debt is suddenly costing you so much more. You can't invest in employees. You can't invest in growing your business. You're just trying to hang on. And so, what's the easiest thing to do is as a business owner, I'll work harder and longer and I'll let Johnny go. Right. And so I've saved 80 grand. And so that's part of this whole cycle is one of the key indicators will be that when you hear in the news unemployment is rising, month over month, and we're 2, 3 months into that, that means we're probably on the trough working our way out of this because that has to happen as part of this cycle, unfortunately. We just don't, I've never lived through like a real bad unemployment. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but unemployment will definitely go up as part of this whole thing.
I think so too. It's so funny. Like I deal with so many people on a daily basis as you do. And at this point, it seems like most people's jobs that have properties or that can afford properties are pretty secure,
Yeah.
But then again, like, no, I agree with you. I think it has to come from somewhere. Okay. So basically you're saying not as much doom and gloom as I'm taking a bit more of a negative approach. Like I think the market's going to keep coming down a little bit, specifically the condo market.
Yeah.
I think like the detached market will be okay relatively just because it's land. I don't know. It's obviously come down quite a bit within the last year since the rates have gone up. But what are your thoughts on that, on the detached market or anything freehold?
Yeah. I mean, as long as, if we had no immigration in our country, I would be a lot more concerned than I am in the fact that 500,000 people moved to the city of Toronto or into Ontario in the last 12 months, right?
Mhm.
Like that is demand on housing, that is demand on rent. And that just supports, like, if that happens again this year, where are those units coming from? Right? Like new builds are stopping because of cost to complete. So
Yep.
that just puts more pressure on things. And while today might be a moment in time that it's not great, it wasn't great last October. And I remember just talking to you, like, how crazy was April and May this past year? You
It was
were calling
insane.
every
Yeah.
day. I was working every night trying to help clients, offers, the works. And here we are, and you can go and buy condos or detached homes, no offers on offer nights, and you have your chance to get in. So it's amazing how fast it can switch. And when that's coming, I don't know, but it's going to come again. That's for sure, right? It's just based on immigration and overall housing demand.
All right. One more thing I have to mention before I ask you a couple of other questions and flip the script a little bit. I think that the really nice properties or the properties that are beautiful, completely done, or for example, our client is putting an offer on a condo listing tonight, actually. And I still think places that are really nice in nice neighborhoods, I still think the really good inventory is selling. Like the beautiful stuff is selling no matter what. And I think that's going to happen in no matter what market we're in. So the neighborhoods don't lose value, and the places, if it's really nice and unique, and if it's on the subway line, for example, a nice corner unit of a condo, those types of properties are still going to sell like crazy and will get multiple offers. There's already one offer on it. This agent is expecting 4 or 5 offers tonight.
Yeah.
So, with everything that I'm saying, I still do think, places are going to be moving. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? You said mortgage pre-approvals are down a little bit, but you're still seeing like a decent amount of activity, or what's happening on your end?
Yeah, I mean the activity's not the way it was during COVID, right? But we're still getting purchase agreements. But
Mhm.
I completely agree with your point. Like location is everything. Like a prime location, a turnkey property, whether it's that condo or that house, like that's gonna move. The stuff that's maybe that extra 5 blocks from the subway line that needs some TLC, like people don't seem to want to do that the way they did during COVID or during 2017, 2018. Like the sexiness of renovating your house is not there because people know how much it costs, right? And they're scared by that. So, I mean, ultimately, like I think location, location, location in real estate, right? Like you're not going to get a deal on a prime spot. You're going to find some deals on stuff that's a little bit off the beaten path, that's not as convenient or needs a little bit of work. That's probably where you're going to have a little more flexibility because that's not going to get as many eyes right now, at least right now, that's for sure.
Agree. Okay. Flipping the script, I'm just gonna ask you just quickly. I know you're busy. Um, if somebody was to start, thinking about purchasing a property, I talk to people like that almost every day at this point. Kind of what kind of advice would you give them? What would you say? What kind of documents would you say to have prepared before they come to yourself or, a mortgage broker, a bank professional? And how long and how does that pre-approval and mortgage approval process work? If you can just quickly
Yeah.
summarize it, and then if anybody wants to reach out to you, I can put your contact in the description of this video as well.
Yeah, sure. First thing is just affordability, right? Like, do the numbers make sense? And I'm not talking like what can you buy for? More, I just ask people like, how much do you think you could spend a month on your place? And if they tell me they can afford $3,000 a month, but they want an $800,000 mortgage, we're in for a reality check on that. And so we got to level set a little on that. So we talk about that up front, just as a feel. People don't know some of the tax advantages. So first home savers accounts, an easy $8,000 in your tax in that account. You get a tax return next year. If you're tax neutral, the whole RSP piece, 35,000 in that to trigger a tax return next spring. So right now till, basically last week of February is our golden period to help people with that, where we can do RSP loans to bump up down payments, talk about taxes and stuff with them, and just kind of shed a light on a few things they may not know. Pre-approval wise, you don't need to prepare anything. We just want to have a chat with you. It's 20 to 30 minutes. We talk about your income. We talk about the existing commitments you have. As long as you pay your bills in a good fashion, your credit score is fine. And then we gather some docs, typically a pre-approval, anywhere from same day to 4 days turnaround, depending on complexity. And if we need, maybe a couple hiccups on credit or something, or we need an exception on your income, but real quick, and it's good for 4 months. And if your financial situation doesn't change, after 4 months, we roll it over. So you're not given all new docs all the time. It's a 20-minute exercise on the phone, a 10-minute doc collection over email, and that's it. Very simple to get your ducks in a row so that you're ready should the right place come along on that. And it's pretty similar across the board. We need a little bit less documentation. We just need pay stub T4, where some of the other channels out there will ask for tax returns, letters of employment, and stuff like that, which becomes a little bit more of a nuisance for some buyers.
And then just to go on down payment, for example. So just so everyone knows, the first $500,000, all you need is 5% of the 500, so 25,000, or so $25,000, and then
Yep.
and then basically, then if you're going up to $1 million, you need 10% of the difference between 500 to $1 million. So if it's $900,000 condo, you're doing $25,000 of the first 500, and then another 40,000 for the $400,000 difference. Correct? So something
Yeah.
like that. And then if you're going over $1 million, you're 20% in right off the bat. So $200,000 down. And then obviously that depends on the situation, depending on, how much they actually can afford per month. Obviously that all of that varies.
Totally. And like getting family, we have a lot of parents co-signing for kids right now where they don't have to own the property, a little unique. So they think they have to be on title. They don't. So that keeps it clean from a tax perspective. So we're doing a lot of that just because people can pay a lot more than they can qualify for out there as well. So that's pretty common these days.
Got you. Is there anything else you want to mention from your end? This has been honestly jam-packed full of information. You've been awesome, but is there anything else
Thanks,
that
man.
you want to mention?
I would just say that opportunities are always out there, whether the market's going crazy or not. Like, keep a pulse on it. Stay in touch with you. You know what's going on better than anyone. You've got ticket to, what was on an offer night didn't sell, how many offers are going in on condos. So like, you're a wealth of information for your clients. Like they should be reaching out to you for that and just keeping a pulse on things. And in my world, it's just it's numbers and pretty straightforward. So if we chat, we'll make sure you're comfortable and can do what you want to do in life. And it's a very easy process, that's for sure.
Awesome. Dave, thank you so much for coming on. I will put all of your information in the description of this video. If you want to reach out to Dave directly, you'll be able to with all that down below. So once again,
Right on.
thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, for sure. All right, take care, Alex.